This is Heidi from Green Girls Living. We've had a question directed to our site, and a lot of people have a concern around this issue. The question was, or that you posed was, I'm having trouble eating beans and grains. What do you recommend? Is there a way around that? She loves tofu, she can't eat it. She didn't say what kinds of digestive issues she was having. I'm assuming it's bloating, gas, and either diarrhea, constipation, or a combination of both. She also didn't say if she's fully whole food plant-based, where she is on that sliding scale. She came to us through the Chris Work site, so we're assuming she has some working knowledge of being vegan and specifically whole food plant-based. So I have had issues with both of those things. So broadly speaking, best to go really, really slow. Let's tackle the beans issue first. If your body is not used to consuming a lot of beans, the recommendation is that you have a tablespoon or less per meal of beans, maybe every other day or every 3 days. Let your body acclimatize. The easiest bean I know of to digest is cannellini, which is a white bean. Harder on the scale are chickpeas. A lot of people have problems with chickpeas and lentils, for instance. So just go slow. Also, there's a food combining issue. If you look at food combining charts, a lot of them recommend separating your proteins, which are beans, from your grains and your carbs, which is odd because most people eat, say, a hamburger, which is heavy protein, on a white wheat bun. A really difficult combination. So I don't eat that, of course, now, but I do eat grains and beans together now. It's taken me a while to get here, but I don't eat a lot of beans. I find that I work best low protein because I've had gut issues, serious digestive issues, and I find better workings if I keep my bean consumption down. I also love tofu. Can't have it all the time. I love it too much, and I tend to overeat it. So that covers the beans issue. Also, if you're eating beans anywhere near fruit, that is a really, really bad idea. Fruit tends to digest or pass through the digestive system very quickly. And if you're eating fruit after you've eaten a heavy protein like beans, that fruit is going to want to make its way out of your stomachs quicker than the beans, and is going to cause all kinds of gas and other disasters in your stomach. So what we've started to do is have our fruits separate. We have our fruits in the morning, separate from other food, and that seems to work for us. So watch your food combining. About the grains, you may have a gluten sensitivity. You may not be aware of it. Gluten sensitivity is on a sliding scale all the way up to being celiac. I'm not celiac, but I am bothered by gluten. So I stay away from wheat, and when I eat oats, I eat gluten-free organic oats. There are lots of other things you can eat other than things that contain gluten, like rice and potatoes and sweet potatoes and quinoa.
Why is gluten so bad now? Can you explain why with spraying, like why the sensitivities have jumped so much?
In combination with spraying, gluten has become a really gut-sensitive issue. Glyphosate, which is Roundup, and other chemicals are sprayed on wheat crops so that they can actually pull 2 wheat harvests off a field in a season. So they actually go on just before they want to hasten the harvest time. They go and they actually kill the wheat with the glyphosate. They spray it to kill it, and then they can replant quicker. So you're getting a heavy dose of poison. Frankly, glyphosate, Roundup is a real toxin. So you combine that with gluten and foods with high gluten content. Wheat isn't what it used to be. Wheat used to be this tall, and when they modified it to make it shorter, easier to harvest, the gluten component apparently went way up. So if you go to Europe where this is less common and there's other factors. You can eat croissant over there and have no reaction and wonder why when you get back over here, it's really upsetting you. So I would stay away from gluten, at least for a while.
If you do, we tend to steer toward.
Well, for instance, Micah
Oats.
and her family, they do eat wheat products. They make sure they're organic, so they're not getting the double whammy of the toxins that are in that wheat, plus all of that gluten.
And the
That
oatmeal.
can actually destroy the connective tissue of your gut lining, and you get leaky gut, which is what happened to me. So that's one of the reasons I'm being really careful. And I think we should all start to be really careful about that combination. So I hope that helps. This person didn't say if they're vegan. If you're not entirely vegan and you're starting to add these foods on top of keeping your old dietary habits still in place, i.e. eating animal products, you're probably overloading yourself on your proteins. So hopefully your transition will be smoother if you tackle the inclusion of beans in your diet in a more measured way, just a little bit at a time, because certainly I couldn't eat them at all for a while.
Another thing was also rinsing.
Rinsing
beans.
Thanks for reminding me. It does help if you soak your beans overnight. Get the beans that aren't already, or if you're buying them in a can, rinse. If you are starting them from scratch and cooking them from scratch, soak them overnight and rinse the beans really well under cold water. Get all that, I forget what they call it. There's actually a word for it. I forget. Aquafaba is what it is in chickpeas. And they actually keep that water and do some magic stuff with it if you're not sensitive to it. But that is the stuff that heavily contributes to gas and bloating. So it's really helpful to do that. So hope this doesn't deter you. Don't use this as a reason not to go whole food plant-based. It's still the best way of eating there is, in my opinion. And we'll see you later. P.S. I'm not a doctor. I forgot to mention that earlier. Everything that I mention or recommend is based on my own experience as a person who's had gut issues and a person who has transitioned into a whole food plant-based diet. So remember that. I can make no medical claims whatsoever. I never have that intention. Visit us, greengirlsliving.com. Thanks.